once again, welcome to Wars Going On. I'm Octurus and I'm joined by Sebastian Keynes. Now, this is a bit of a special episode. We were, shortly after we finished recording last night, Moonton provided an update that we weren't expecting for about 2 weeks to give more details of what's going on with the merger. Now, not the merger, with with what's going on in the States. So with the transfer of their publishing house from Newverse to a new organization. Now, let's just bring up the announcement they put out on Discord. Okay, so it's quite long-winded, but basically they're saying that they're moving to a new company called Skystone. And Sebastian, you did a video about this earlier, so do feel free to dive in.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna let you go ahead and cover the announcement first that they published, and then we can talk about Skystone and what I think that this is a very good first step, but I do still have some questions remaining regarding this whole thing. So, if you just want to just briefly go over Skystone, I don't know if you have the website up or if you're going to show anything, but they do have a library of games that they do run. So they do have some experience in terms of providing publishing support, customer service support. Not only that, from after I published my video, somebody told me that it wasn't the guy on the left that I showed, which was the guy that I researched, David Chan. He is the CEO, and he's the one that was mostly the face of this whole thing. But the other fellow, David, apparently he was involved with Diablo 2 or run Diablo 2. So at least some players had some optimism there as well. So after I went back and I looked at his background and all this stuff, it kind of made sense, and that he spun off a company back in 2020.
Right.
So yeah, so it looks like a big move. And then the big component of this thing is that they are a US based company and their servers are in this side of the continent or of the world, I should say.
Yeah. So I think I saw in your video that they're based out of California, so that's going to satisfy the US Department of the legal system, so that they have a US presence, and that should probably get round the issues that they were having. And as Sebastian pointed out, they've got a legacy of publishing games from other companies, and that puts them in good stead to being able to manage this sort of game coming into them. So all quite positive. There's a lot of details still to be defined, and we're going to hear more about that. But basically, they're going to do a data migration, an authorized data migration. They're not just handing it over. You have to go in and physically say, I want to transfer to the new provider. There's no details of what will happen if you don't want to move to the new provider, but that will obviously pan out in due course. How they're planning on maintaining operations, and they're saying improved community engagement. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Discord mods that are currently here, or the current community systems that they've got in place here. So we'll see what happens on that sort of things.
I would imagine that will all remain the same. They're probably just going to get a little bit more support, or there might be more interaction that we might see there, right? That is not going to be just them contacting the Chinese counterparts and make sure that they can disseminate the information in English and the best of their ability. I think that now they have a little bit more of a backup in terms of actually having Skystone maybe provide some additional support as well. So all of that, will let them handle it. But from our player perspective, based on the message and how it was written and how it was communicated to us, their big thing is going to be, yes, we have to migrate your data. It's essential. So when they're talking about this, I don't think that they're just talking about the United States player base. This is the global servers, 50, 60,000, the Forerunners ones. That's going to be the ones that are going to be pushed over. I imagine that the Chinese server, they'll probably keep that on their side. and
Yeah.
right, because essentially they're being run separately from everybody else. So so that but the aspect of this whole thing is trying to satisfy Apple Store and Google Play Store to make sure that they can get their app back into their respective app stores. The couple of questions that I still do have remaining, and this is something that I'm still pestering the CC contact a little bit. It's like, okay, this is a big first step, but here are still some of the questions that I have. Now, not to go too much into depth, I just want to bring 2 points, and these are the ones that I want a little bit more clarity on. Is number one, right now, Moonton is still listed as being owned by Nubers. Is that going to cause any hiccups? Is that going to, in a way, say, is going to give some type of leverage for Google or Apple to say, no, we're not ready to put your app in the store just yet? Because if they can clear that hurdle, that should restore confidence in the United States player base that everything has been worked to get around or satisfy the conditions of the law as it stands right now in its current form. So that is one thing that we need to clear up. If just that small connection, because HR 7521 that's explicitly say that if it's any app that is run by a BitDance or a BitDance affiliated corporation, which
Mhm.
at this time, Nervers still
Yep.
a BitDance affiliated cannot be operated in the United States, and so that's why Google and Apple kicked it off. So that's one thing that I'm waiting on response on. And then the second one is whether, if the announcement that we were supposed to get in 2 weeks, will that then clear things up as to whether Google or Apple will indeed accept these apps again, just by making this little minor switch in publishers, and still have some type of connection to BitDance. And the other thing is that a lot of people are saying, well, whatever Marble Snap is doing, Moonton is going to try to do, but Marble Snap or their developers don't have that connection that
Yeah.
Moonton has to right now. So that is the big thing. That is the big aspect right now. Is number one, is that connection is still going to hinder legally, and two, is this move enough for Google and Apple to say yes, we'll take it back?
Yeah, and the big challenge as well is the fact that there's not been any discussion about obviously there's not been a January patch for, well, was there a January patch for global?
There was the mini January. We had the January patch before this whole thing went down. It's just
Yeah.
where they haven't announced the February patch, which usually is announced by now. And like you and I have been, like scrambling for topics because Forerunners has technically not had an update of any sort over 3 weeks now.
It was 4 weeks. We haven't really had one for January, but basically the
Okay,
issue
4 weeks.
is that we're now coming up to one of the topics that they said, one of the areas that they said they've got big events for, the February Valentine's event. But if they can't get stuff into the app stores, they're going to lose out on any potential new players who might be coming in through any marketing push they do at that time. They're going to lose out on sales because if people don't have confidence in the state of the game and the state of access to the thing long term, because while it's all well and good that they pushed out this update, there's still no discussion of timeline. We've still got this 75-day ticking clock going against Moonturn and ByteDance, so they've got to come up with a timeline, because if people still don't have confidence, they're not going to put their money in, and it's going to be a problem. Now, and the other question is, if there is a chance, if there is something for the Valentine's event, is that code already in the game and it's just a case of flicking a switch, or is it an OTA update that they'll just be able to push out to everyone very easily that activates that without having to do any major changes to what's already in the app?
So I imagine that given some information that I'm seeing being, like leaked out, is that they are there is something already there and it might just be one of those things that they need to switch on, like you said, like they did when we had the whole Apple Store with the European Union fiasco. So that's why I would say that that update, the most recent update that we had, where the game was shut off for 2 hours, and
Hmm.
it just nothing, no details about it, right? Nothing that they were saying they're fixing something or they were going to, add something or somebody was getting work. It was nothing. It was just we're just doing an update, and they call it maintenance, and I think that that's essentially what it was. It was some
Yeah.
maintenance preparing themselves for something like this. So yeah, so that you're right. We have. I know that some of the major content creators, they really are optimistic about it, and they're saying, "No, Watcher Realms is saved." For my perspective, it's just for me is going to be seeing it back in the U.S. market, Apple and Google stores.
Yeah. That's going to be a big thing which they've got to overcome, because at the moment there is still a lot of uncertainty. There's still a lot of unknowns in it. Yeah, it's great that as they were like literally closing the doors to go on leave for 2 weeks, they put this information out to everyone. But it still does have a lot of unanswered questions alongside it. But overall, it
And
sounds positive, and obviously, I have been involved in those phone calls with the development team. I'm hearing about it second, third hand from people. So
mhm.
these they may have access to more information than I have that is up on screen here. So yeah, it may be that it's all going to be roses and Watcher of Realms is all fine and dandy. But as someone who works in project management, timelines are important. So you've got to know what's happening here. So yeah, this is,
I
yeah,
do, I did have some conversations with people that were in this phone call, and at least from their what they were able to share with me as to the tone of it was that it appeared that the devs were did get caught off guard, and they didn't seem it like it was a necessary thing for BitDance to do, but in the end it the tables were turned on them because the app stores say we got to cover our butts, so we have to remove your apps whether you're blocking people or not. And then so that was one thing, and then when I actually approached the people in the phone call that with the questions that I just put forth here in this
mm,
mini episode, they came back to me and they said that wasn't discussed, or I don't really know, but they are optimistic that they will be running in the future. So this is where then in my video I was like, all right, if I have these questions, you should have them too. Because if you, even though with them saying Watcher Realms is saved, and these people are trying to install the game back up on their mobile devices, and it's not there, that should
yeah,
be kind of a red flag. It's like this situation is not completely solved. And then the one thing that I think also you said that we have to keep in mind here is the timetable, because yes, they have all these events that they've listed, all these updates that are listed, but there's no timetable right now, at least from Google or Apple communicating to them, your app is going to be back on our stores by this date.
yeah,
So
because
yeah, so
we
a
know
lot of
that
red flags.
the Apple review process can easily take a month to get through. So
Mm-hmm.
that is means that 75-day window is 30 days shorter already. And yeah, you've got to have everything in place. You've got to get all the legal stuff, and contracts are messy. They to turn one round for something like a multi-million pound mobile game to a new publisher in 50 days, 40 days, that's going to be impressive to pull that off.
And the other thing I have noticed too is that Mobile Legends Bang Bang has not released a statement yet. At least I haven't seen anything on Reddit, and I cannot join their Discord because I don't have an account. So if anybody here has a Mobile Legends Bang Bang account and has seen some type of announcement, please share in the comment section. I am interested to see if Skystone was able to get that game as well, because that would be a bigger get than Watcher Realms for them. So it
Right.
probably just increases their notoriety a little bit more. So, but that's another thing that I'm looking at, is that if indeed Mobile Legends Bang Bang got the same treatment. So if that is the case, then again, that's positive news, because it's not just Watcher Realms. It's another game that Moonton is running that is coming along. Is coming along as well. And if that game, indeed, they're working to save that game, then we know that Watcher Realms is going to get possibly the same treatment. And then that instills even more confidence in that. So maybe those developers are waiting until after the Chinese New Year to actually release that statement, and we'll see what happens there. Or they might just be a different publisher. So we'll see. But yeah, so let's just leave it as it's an optimistic move that they have made. The fact that they shared the announcement with us before they did technically go out of the office for a while is promising as well, because I think that they just wanted to make sure that all their Valentine's festivities don't just go to hell, because there's really no formal announcement. And this just goes to say that the rumors about a limited hero or some type of para coming in Valentine's Day is possibly true, because they wouldn't have been this steadfast about it if there wasn't something down the pipeline that they want to make sure that people have confidence to go and get. So all these little things. So I'm a little bit more optimistic now, but yeah, there's still some things that I need cleared. And if our CC contact says, well, I don't know anything about that, then then I'll take it. At least it's something, it's an answer. But then we just have to wait on the legalese side to say, okay, maybe this doesn't conform to Google and Apple, and they won't put the app back up, and we'll know why in a sense. So promising. I'm still gonna keep my wallet in my pocket for now. But I would just say, Thread, make your own decision. If you really feel optimistic and you want to believe Fasty, Destin, and Susie, go ahead and support them in whatever manner, or just play the game as you did, and then hopefully everything pans out at the end.
Cool. So that was really all we wanted to cover today. We just thought it was important to have a chat about this, especially we spent 45 minutes yesterday talking about it and not really having any answers, and then they put this out. So that's it for today. Please do check out all the other videos, like, subscribe, share with everyone, let people know that we're here, and we will see you all in the next episode.
All right. See you, everybody. See you next week.